Jinho drove with Jinwoo in the back seat, both heading towards Daesung Tower. Jinwoo leaned back, deep in thought about the events of the previous day. Despite being kicked out of his home, Jinho remained cheerful. Noticing this, Jinwoo asked, "Did you sleep okay last night?" Jinho nodded, mentioning the surprisingly good facilities at the motel. Jinwoo gave a slight nod. "Good. Stay there until I find an office space for our guild," he said, determined to get Jinho out of the motel as soon as possible. Breaking the silence, Jinho asked, "By the way, why are we headed to Daesung Tower so early?" Jinwoo, lost in his thoughts, didn't answer right away. When they arrived at the tower, he simply opened the door and stepped out saying, "I'll be back," leaving Jinho in the car. Jinwoo had tasks to complete and goals to pursue. Daesung Tower was just the next step in his plan. As he entered the Demon's Castle dungeon, a notification popped up, signaling the next phase of his journey. Jinwoo braced himself, fully aware that the difficulty was about to skyrocket. He was ready, having equipped himself with new gear to handle the intense flames inside the dungeon. His wind robe and a nameless ring imbued with water magic were all set to shield him. Feeling prepared, Jinwoo sighed when another notification appeared. Again? A new quest had popped up. Collect demon souls and defeat the Demon King, Barin, who ruled the top floor of the Demon's Castle. The objective was simple: defeat the Demon King. The rewards? Tempting, a top-tier runestone, shadow exchange, that would unlock a new job-specific skill. Jinwoo briefly thought about his current job-specific skills: shadow extraction, shadow preservation, and monarch's domain, all of which had proven to be incredibly powerful. He couldn't wait to add this new skill to his arsenal. Suddenly, a booming voice echoed, offering him a choice of which floor to enter. Without missing a beat, Jinwoo grinned wickedly and confidently said, 76. In an instant, red energy engulfed him, and with a whoosh, he was transported to the 76th floor. He arrived in a scene of utter devastation. Ruined buildings littered the ground, flames devoured the sky, and an ominous red glow filled the ash-filled air. Above him, monstrous winged creatures circled, casting terrifying shadows over the crumbling landscape. In the distance, a massive demon with glowing red eyes stood tall, its body etched with arcane symbols, crowned with deadly horns. Flanked by twisted lesser demons, the giant surveyed the destruction, completing the nightmarish scene. But Jinwoo, unfazed by the overwhelming odds, summoned his most powerful shadow soldier, Tusk. Since being extracted, Tusk had undergone an incredible transformation, his already fearsome form now even more imposing, radiating a terrifying, chilling power. Armed with the Orb of Avarice, an artifact pulsing with magical energy, Tusk was ready, his formidable abilities enhanced to take on the demonic horde. Tusk stands alone, a solitary figure facing an overwhelming demonic horde. His presence is formidable, radiating a chilling aura as he charges forward, ready to meet the oncoming tide of darkness. The high-ranking demon and its army march relentlessly towards him, causing the ground to quake and buildings to crumble under their approach. As the two forces close in, the air crackles with tension, heavy with anticipation of the clash. Equipped with the Orb of Avarice, Tusk channels its immense power. In his hand, a massive fireball begins to form, crackling fiercely with swirling flames. With a swift, decisive motion, Tusk hurls the fireball into the sky. It explodes with a deafening roar, setting the sky ablaze. Torrents of fire rain down upon the demon army, engulfing the battlefield in a raging inferno. The demons, completely unprepared, scramble in vain to escape the searing heat, but the fire spreads relentlessly, consuming everything in its path. A notification flashes. You have defeated a top-ranking demon. From a distance, Jinwoo watches the aftermath of Tusk's devastating attack. The battlefield is now a charred wasteland, a testament to the sheer destruction unleashed by Tusk's power. Jinwoo observes closely, noting the impact of the Orb of Avarice in amplifying Tusk's abilities. With this realization, Jinwoo decides to let Tusk continue wielding the Orb of Avarice, recognizing its potential to further enhance Tusk's power in future battles. As Jinwoo reflects on the recent developments, he notices a significant spike in his own stats. The experience gained from observing Tusk's battle pushes him to level 81, boosting his overall strength and abilities. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Myung-hun awakens, still groggy from sleep, and asks how long he has been unconscious. The doctor informs him that he has been out for 2 days. Exhausted and uneasy, Myung-hun asks if something is wrong with his body. The doctor then asks a puzzling question. Have you been in close contact with a hunter or someone with awakened abilities? Myung-hun, taken aback by the sudden mention of hunters, asks why the question is relevant. The doctor explains that he's referring to a condition known as eternal slumber. This rare condition, the doctor elaborates, renders patients unable to wake up, draining their life force rapidly. The only way to keep such individuals alive is through mana-powered life support systems. The doctor further explains that eternal slumber began appearing after the gates opened, and many who couldn't afford the costly mana devices succumbed to the condition. Myung-hun, now alarmed and confused, asks what this has to do with hunters. The doctor clarifies that mana, closely tied to eternal slumber, can affect people who are intolerant to it. Prolonged exposure to mana-rich items like essence stones, mana crystals, or even individuals with awakened abilities can trigger the condition. The doctor speculates that Myung-hun might have recently come into contact with such sources, which could have caused his current symptoms. He then asks if there's a hunter in Myung-hun's family. Grappling with the weight of this revelation, Myung-hun reflects on his situation, deeply troubled by the doctor's diagnosis and what it means for his future. Despite the gravity of his diagnosis, Myung-hun refuses to accept the idea of being a victim of natural selection. His pride flares, and with unwavering determination, he declares that he has never been defeated before and won't allow this condition to bring him down. Meanwhile, far from this scene, on a tranquil island off the coast of Japan, peace is momentarily disturbed as a living ant, unnaturally large, makes its way onto the shore. In the heart of the island's small town, 2 hunters walk along a quiet street. Mr. Nogawa, a D-rank hunter, is deep in thought, appreciating the calmness of the place. A local resident approaches, thanking Mr. Nogawa for keeping the town safe. With modesty, Nogawa brushes off the thanks, insisting it's just part of his duty. Curious about Mr. Nogawa's companion, the resident asks about the new face. Mr. Nogawa introduces the E-rank hunter and advises them to get to know the townspeople while making regular patrols. He stresses the importance of their role, particularly in case a gate opens on the island. If that were to happen, they'd be in serious danger due to the island's isolation. Nogawa explains that if a gate appears, their priority is to locate it as quickly as possible using the mana meter and alert hunters on the mainland. With reinforcements taking at least 3 days to arrive, finding the gate is critical to prevent a dungeon break that could wipe out the entire town. As Nogawa continues his instructions, a shadow appears on the horizon, catching the attention of the E-rank hunter. Alerted to the presence of something unusual, Mr. Nogawa turns to investigate. As they focus their gaze, adjusting to the fading light, they are met with a shocking sight, a giant ant, far larger than any natural insect, standing before them. Back in the dungeon, Jinwoo presses forward, his shadow soldiers laying waste to the demonic forces. One by one, the demons fall under the unstoppable power of Jinwoo's army, their bodies strewn across the battlefield as a testament to his might. The ground is a grim landscape, littered with the remains of the defeated, showcasing the utter devastation brought by Jinwoo's relentless assault. Jinwoo surveys the battlefield, reflecting on the recent boost in his intelligence stat. This increase has widened the gap between the number of shadows he can extract and the number he can preserve. If he could extract these fallen demons, his shadow army would be massive by now. It's a missed opportunity, but one he has to navigate around. Realizing that leading all of his soldiers in one large group is inefficient, he decides it's time to act with more precision. Jinwoo devises a new strategy, splitting his forces into 6 distinct groups: Team Tusk, Team Igris, Team Iron, Team Tank, High Orcs Team A, and High Orcs Team B. With clear authority, he issues his commands. Each group is assigned 2 objectives: to split up and defeat every demon they come across, and to notify him immediately upon finding the entry permit for the next floor. His shadow soldiers, loyal and efficient, dash off to execute his orders without hesitation. Standing amidst the remnants of the battle, Jinwoo contemplates his next move. He decides to skip collecting items in the dungeon, focusing only on the entry permits. His primary goal is to reach the top floor as swiftly as possible. Despite having just dispatched his soldiers, Jinwoo notices that his experience points are already rising significantly. The newfound efficiency of his shadow soldiers working independently allows him to save precious time and energy. As long as his soldiers remain intact, Jinwoo doesn't need to use his mana to sustain them, a relief, given the increasing difficulty of the dungeon. However, he is aware of potential challenges. His mages and infantrymen might struggle against the high-ranking demons on this floor. To mitigate this, Jinwoo prepares to use potions to continuously recharge his mana, ensuring that his forces can maintain their strength and hold their ground. His careful planning is essential for overcoming the trials that lie ahead. Days later, Jinwoo monitors the progress of his shadow soldiers. A notification catches his eye. Tank, the shadow beast, has reached level 24 and is now classified as elite, having gained 10 levels since Jinwoo last checked. Jinwoo has also leveled up, but the rapid growth of his soldiers is far more dramatic. Hunting in groups has proven to be highly effective. With only 20 floors remaining, Jinwoo is progressing faster than expected, already having reached the 80th floor. Yet, 2 days have passed without finding the entry permit, a sign that powerful demons may be lurking. As he reflects on this, Jinwoo feels his mana draining at an alarming rate. Someone is ruthlessly destroying his shadows, and they aren't regenerating quickly enough. He deduces that a fierce battle is taking place, likely involving Iron's group. Realizing that an enemy stronger than Iron is on this floor, Jinwoo feels a sense of urgency. Left with no choice, he calls back his shadows, knowing that he must regroup and devise a new plan to face this formidable foe. The following day, Jinwoo reflects on the intense battle from before. He had been forced to retreat, his troops suffering under the relentless onslaught of the demons. Teams B and Igris's group had taken the hardest hits, revealing just how formidable the demons on this floor were. However, something felt off. Despite being positioned next to Igris's group, Tusk's team had gone largely untouched. Instead, the demons bypassed them, focusing their attacks on the High Orcs in Team A. Jinwoo begins to piece things together. These demons aren't attacking mindlessly. They seem to be picking their battles, targeting foes they believe they can defeat. The fact that they avoided Tusk suggests they assessed him as too strong. This leads Jinwoo to a crucial realization. The demons are intelligent, capable of identifying weaknesses and exploiting them strategically. Their deliberate targeting of the High Orcs implies that they plan to attack Jinwoo next. Bracing himself, Jinwoo steels his resolve as he notices a group of demons advancing toward him in the distance. A tense silence falls over the battlefield as 3 imposing figures emerge from the shadows, mounted on demonic steeds. Leading them is a demon noble, flanked by 3 demon knights clad in blood-red armor, advancing with deadly purpose. The atmosphere thickens with tension as the battle begins with savage ferocity. Tank, Jinwoo's towering shadow soldier, lets out a fearsome roar and charges at the incoming demon knights. One of the knights meets him in mid-air, delivering a devastating strike. In a single, brutal motion, the demon knight cleaves Tank in 2, reducing the mighty soldier to shadowy fragments. Jinwoo watches in shock, realization dawning on him. "This is why my soldiers struggled to regenerate," he mutters grimly. The demon knights, with their overwhelming speed and power, were tearing through his army at a terrifying pace. Another knight joins the fray, targeting another shadow soldier. Like Tank, the creature is swiftly cut down, its body split in a horrifying display of strength. Jinwoo's brow furrows in determination. He knows drastic action is required. One of the demon knights locks eyes with Jinwoo, its gaze filled with malice. Without hesitation, the knight charges, its spear aimed directly at Jinwoo's heart. Time seems to slow as the knight speeds toward him. In a blur of motion, Jinwoo effortlessly dodges the deadly spear, his reflexes far surpassing the knight's expectations. Seizing the opportunity, Jinwoo counterattacks with a devastating blow. Channeling his magical energy into his fist, he lands a powerful punch on the demon knight, his strike resonating with raw power, setting the stage for the next phase of their battle. The impact of Jinwoo's punch was devastating. The blow connected squarely with the demon knight's face, shattering its helmet and sending the knight crashing into the ground. A notification flashed before Jinwoo, confirming the knight's defeat. The remaining two demon knights, upon witnessing their comrade's brutal end, charged toward Jinwoo with renewed fury. His dagger moved with lightning precision, slicing through their bodies with surgical precision. Two more notifications appeared in quick succession, confirming their demise. The demon noble, now standing alone, stared at Jinwoo in disbelief. Its once unshakable composure faltered, fear flickering in its eyes, a rare emotion for a creature of its stature. Jinwoo's aura flared, his power palpable. A cold smirk formed on his lips as he locked eyes with the demon noble. "I've always wondered if monsters could feel fear," Jinwoo mused, his voice chilling and calm. "Looks like I've found my answer." The battle between Jinwoo and the demon noble commenced with a fury that matched the intensity of the dungeon itself. The noble moved with blinding speed, its sword thrusting toward Jinwoo with deadly precision. The strikes were so fast that they appeared as little more than blurs to the untrained eye. Jinwoo, relying on his agility, dodged each attack, stepping back to avoid the lethal blade. Despite his best efforts, Jinwoo found himself barely keeping up with the noble's overwhelming speed. Each strike came closer than the last, forcing Jinwoo to push his reflexes to their limits. The demon's sword blurred through the air, slicing the space where Jinwoo had been mere milliseconds before. Jinwoo's mind worked rapidly, analyzing the noble's attacks. My forehead, my neck, then my heart. It's targeting all my vital points, he realized, recognizing the pattern of strikes. He recalled the demon hierarchy he had learned. D-rank demons at the bottom, followed by C, B, and A ranks. Above them were the elite A plus rank demon lords and knights, and finally the terrifying S-rank nobles who stood as intermediary bosses in the hierarchy. The battle unfolded like a deadly dance, both combatants weaving between steel and shadow. But Jinwoo had learned to adapt. In a swift motion, he sidestepped the demon noble's lunge, deflecting the sword and responding with a precise slash of his dagger. His strike cleaved the noble's weapon in two, leaving the demon wide open for a final attack. Without hesitation, Jinwoo surged forward, grabbing the demon noble by the head. His grip was unrelenting as he prepared to end the fight once and for all. His dagger, poised for the killing blow, hovered inches from the demon's throat. But before he could strike, the noble let out a guttural, desperate scream. "I surrender!" it roared, its voice trembling with disbelief and terror. The words echoed through the battlefield, a shocking admission from a creature that had once radiated invincibility. The fear in the demon's eyes told Jinwoo everything he needed to know. He had completely shattered the noble's will to fight. As Jinwoo faced yet another beast capable of speaking a human tongue, a strange sense of déjà vu washed over him. This time, the voice was distinctly feminine. When the demon noble removed her helmet, Jinwoo's suspicions were confirmed. It was indeed a woman. Her demeanor shifted quickly, from defiant to desperate. She explained that as guardians of this realm, they couldn't allow an intruder to decimate their kind without resistance. Jinwoo's face remained emotionless as he listened. He reminded her, of how she had ruthlessly attacked his soldiers, and now her plea for forgiveness seemed hollow to him. Her justification, that the knights would be content as long as she was safe, rang false to Jinwoo, sounding more like an excuse to save herself. Her human-like appearance made him hesitate, though. It felt strange, almost wrong, to strike her down in that moment. As Jinwoo pondered the situation, momentarily lost in thought, the demon noble seized the opportunity. With a sudden burst of energy, she lunged at him, broken sword in hand, aiming for a decisive blow. Yet her effort was in vain. Jinwoo's trusted shadow, Tusk, reacted instantly, casting Hymn of Protection. A magical barrier shimmered to life, deflecting the attack with ease. The noble's desperation was clear, but Jinwoo's patience was wearing thin. "You attacked my soldiers, and now you beg for mercy?" Jinwoo's eyes narrowed as he questioned her. The demon noble, realizing her futile attempt, collapsed to her knees, pleading for her life. Her voice trembled with desperation as she offered anything in exchange for his mercy. Amused but slightly irritated, Jinwoo considered her offer. "Do you have an entry permit?" he asked. The noble's eyes darted nervously, but she nodded. Sensing her hesitation, Tusk used his levitation skill, causing the demon noble to float helplessly in the air. Fear twisted her expression as she revealed that her clan possessed an entry permit. She promised to give it to Jinwoo if he spared her and took her to them. The revelation intrigued Jinwoo, so the demons had been safeguarding the permit all along. That explained why he hadn't found it yet. Sensing an opportunity, the demon noble offered to lead him to more entry permits if he promised to spare her and her clan. The proposal was tempting, but Jinwoo was skeptical of her trustworthiness. To test her sincerity, he activated Bloodlust, his oppressive aura weighing heavily on the demon noble. The terror in her eyes told him everything. She was telling the truth. Trembling, she swore that she wasn't lying. After a moment, Jinwoo agreed to her terms, but only on the condition that she personally retrieved the entry permit for him. He promised to leave quietly once he had what he needed. As Tusk deactivated his levitation skill, the noble descended back to the ground. She immediately expressed her gratitude, bowing her head repeatedly. Jinwoo, however, wasn't finished with her. He asked for more specific information. "Who exactly are you?" he demanded. She introduced herself as Isil, the eldest daughter of the Radiru clan. But Jinwoo cut her off. Her identity wasn't what he was truly interested in. His mind worked to uncover deeper secrets. "Tell me," Jinwoo began, his voice calm but probing, "have you ever heard a voice in your head telling you to kill humans?" Essel's eyes widened slightly, confusion crossing her face. "No," she responded, shaking her head. "I've never heard such a voice." But she hesitated before adding, "I have heard voices instructing me to protect this place." Jinwoo's eyes narrowed in thought. "So, it's not about killing humans," he mused, "but defending their territory." This was a significant detail, one that he filed away for later. These demons seemed different from the magic beasts whose sole purpose was to kill humans. Instead, they appeared to have a duty to protect the dungeon. Jinwoo mused that, from the perspective of these monsters, he might seem like a threat similar to a magic beast. Curious about their origins, Jinwoo asked Essel how long she had been hearing these protective voices. Essel responded that the voices had been present since the day they awoke in the castle. Jinwoo found this revelation intriguing and pressed further, asking where they had lived before waking up in the castle. Essel revealed that they came from the demon realm, but one day found themselves inexplicably transported to the castle. Jinwoo's curiosity deepened, and he inquired about their life in the demon realm before their sudden relocation. Essel's answer was simple yet surprising. They had been preparing for war. Jinwoo's interest piqued at the mention of war. She explained that they had been gearing up for a massive conflict against an overwhelmingly powerful enemy, one that required the united efforts of the entire demon race. However, Essel abruptly halted her explanation, stating that she had already said more than she was allowed to. She then began repeating herself, uttering the same sentences over and over. Jinwoo immediately recognized the phenomenon. It was just like what had happened when he questioned Baruka. The system was forcibly cutting off the conversation to prevent any further disclosure. This behavior confirmed Jinwoo's suspicions. Dungeons, quests, missions, rewards, penalties, job changes. It all pointed to a system that functioned like a game. But now, Jinwoo realized something more. The monsters, including Esul, were likely just components of this system, all following the same set of rules. As Jinwoo pressed her for more details about the powerful enemies the demons were preparing to face, Esil began glitching, her voice failing, and eventually she fainted. Jinwoo observed the system's strong reaction to his line of questioning and concluded that it wielded powers far beyond mere game mechanics. This led Jinwoo to a crucial insight. The enemies the demons were preparing to fight might be the key to unraveling the true nature of the system and its impact on the world. The existence of a larger unseen threat fueled his determination to uncover the truth. Meanwhile, chaos erupted on the coast of Japan. A town was under siege, not by humans or beasts, but by an invasion of monstrous ants. The terror in the eyes of the townspeople was unmistakable. The ants, moving with terrifying precision, unleashed a massacre, cutting down every living being in their path. Screams filled the air as the ants used their razor-sharp wings as lethal weapons, slicing and maiming anyone who stood in their way. The once peaceful town quickly became a scene of carnage. Streets that were filled with life were now drenched in blood, the cries of the dying echoing in the ruins. The ants' path left behind a trail of crimson destruction, their insatiable thirst for blood turning the town into a slaughterhouse. Defenseless civilians were massacred, helpless in the face of this monstrous force, falling like wheat before a scythe. Hunters and healers rushed to the scene, but they were too late to stop the initial devastation. The ants, displaying cunning intelligence, had targeted the healers first, neutralizing the town's ability to heal its wounded. One of the hunters, witnessing the scene, muttered in disbelief, "What the hell is that thing? It went straight for the healers. And it's wiping out our weakest E-rank hunters first." After decimating the hunters' numbers, the mutant ant took out the healers, ensuring their forces would weaken over time. It seemed to understand the tactical disadvantage it would face if the battle dragged on. "Is this really a beast with intelligence?" one of the hunters wondered aloud, watching the scene unfold in disbelief. As the chaos reached its peak, the ant ascended into the air, its wings unfurled like a grim banner of destruction. Its glowing red eyes, burning with unnatural intensity, appeared to relish the carnage it had unleashed on the town below. The devastated town lay in ruins, a smoldering car nearby captured by a black box recorder, the only silent witness to the horror. The footage detailed the ferocity of the attack, capturing the moment when the nightmare descended upon Earth. The news of the mutant ant invasion reached the Korean Hunter Association. Inside their headquarters, Jinwoo presented the black box footage to the gathered members. It was the only solid evidence they had of the mutant ant's existence. Jinwoo explained that the ant had first been discovered on a small island off the coast of Japan. It had crossed over to the mainland, causing massive casualties before being exterminated by a group of hunters who responded to the emergency call. The battle resulted in the deaths of 4 E-rank hunters, 1 Dran healer, and even a C-rank team leader. The turning point in the battle, Jinwoo continued, had been the arrival of an Aaron-ranked hunter, who had stepped in midway through the fight. Without that hunter's intervention, the mutant ant might have caused even more devastation. One member of the association, visibly concerned, summarized the situation. "It takes at least 1 Aaron hunter to take down a single mutant ant." Jinwoo added that the ant had caused 294 civilian casualties and required the deployment of 108 hunters to stop it. Despite what seemed like an excessive number of hunters, the Japanese Hunter Association defended their response, citing the ant's ability to sense danger and escape by flying away. Jinwoo went on to praise Japan's well-organized hunter network while reflecting on the nightmare scenario of the ants reaching the Korean mainland. Go Gun-hee, chairman of the Korean Hunter Association, listened intently. He pointed out that, like Japan, South Korea had many islands, but lacked the manpower to monitor them effectively. He voiced his concerns over the ants' ability to fly long distances, potentially reaching the coastal provinces and even major cities. As whispers filled the room, members discussed the possibility of seeking international aid from powerful nations like China, Russia, or the United States. However, based on past experiences, most doubted they would receive any significant support. At that point, Jinwoo dropped a bombshell. He informed Go Gun-hee that they had been secretly contacted by Hwang Dong-soo from the Scavenger Guild, who expressed interest in participating in the upcoming Jeju Island raid. Go Gun-hee was stunned, immediately understanding that Hwang's true target was likely none other than Sung Jinwoo. Jinwoo elaborated further, explaining that he had already made a formal request to deny Hwang's entry into South Korea, citing the unresolved conflict from the Red Gate incident as the reason. But Hwang wasn't the only one who had reached out. Jinwoo led Go Gun-hee to another revelation. A national-level hunter had also made contact, though their identity remained shrouded in secrecy. Back in the demon castle, Essel began to stir. Slowly regaining consciousness, her eyes snapped open. She lay there disoriented, her mind spinning as she tried to make sense of her surroundings, confusion etched on her face. Essel slowly opened her eyes, disoriented and confused, unsure of when she had fallen asleep. As her vision cleared, she noticed the bodies of fallen demons scattered around her. Shocked, she realized that Jinwoo had single-handedly killed them while she was unconscious. He explained calmly that those demons had tried to attack her while she was out. Stunned, Essel asked if he had protected her during that time. When Jinwoo confirmed, she thanked him, realizing for the first time that unintelligent demons did not distinguish between those with intelligence, even among their own kind. Jinwoo then shifted the conversation, inquiring about the time it would take to reach the location of the entry permit. Fully aware of the gravity of the situation and her new role, Essel steadied herself and prepared to guide him further. Essel, now serving as Jinwoo's guide, led him deeper into the desolate, fiery landscape of the demon realm. In the distance, a looming castle stood tall, its dark structure imposing against the infernal backdrop. As they approached the heart of the castle, Jinwoo couldn't help but muse to himself, "A demon's castle inside another demon's castle? Is this even possible?" Essel approached a demon knight standing guard at the entrance. Her voice firm and commanding, she demanded to know the location of her father, the leader of the Radaru clan. The knight, with reverence in his tone, informed her that her father was in the throne room. Sensing Jinwoo's presence, the knight cautiously inquired about his identity. Essel, maintaining her authority, introduced Jinwoo as a very important guest and instructed the knight to treat him with respect. They made their way to the throne room, a grand, intimidating chamber where the clan leader sat regally upon his throne. Jinwoo surveyed the room, thinking this could have easily been a battleground had he chosen a more aggressive approach. As the clan leader's gaze fell upon the two of them, his eyes widened in shock. He immediately questioned who Jinwoo was and what his purpose in the castle might be. Essel introduced Jinwoo as her guest, but the clan leader's sharp instincts quickly picked up on something more. His senses alerted him to the presence of an unseen army of shadow soldiers accompanying Jinwoo. The tension in the room escalated as demon knights surrounded Jinwoo, their weapons drawn in a defensive stance. Struggling to maintain his composure, the clan leader chastised Jinwoo for bringing an army into their home. Jinwoo, ever calm, explained that he had promised Essel he would leave peacefully, so long as she handed over the entry permit. The clan leader, carefully observing Jinwoo, recognized him as the very same person responsible for the massacre of demons throughout the castle. A slow realization crept upon him. The Radaru clan, ranked 20th and one of the weakest noble clans, stood no chance against a force like Jinwoo, who had already defeated stronger opponents like Vulcan and Matthias. With the weight of this realization bearing down on him, the clan leader asked Jinwoo, with a mix of desperation and resignation, if all he wanted was the entry permit. Jinwoo, however, clarified that he had one more request. He needed Asil's assistance to locate other entry permits to the upper floors of the castle. He explained that Asil knew where each one was, and he would require her guidance to find them. A heavy silence followed, the tension in the air palpable as the clan leader considered Jinwoo's request. The room fell quiet, the weight of Jinwoo's words hanging over them all. Later that evening, Jinwoo and Asil found themselves seated at a grand dining table within the heart of the demon castle. The clan leader, sitting at the head of the table, observed Jinwoo with a mixture of wariness and grudging respect. It was clear that the power dynamics had shifted irreversibly. The clan leader, his expression tense, wanted confirmation that all Jinwoo desired was an entry permit and a guide. Jinwoo could see that the Demon King had misunderstood his intentions when he had requested to borrow Asil. Internally, the clan leader wrestled with his pride. It was a bitter pill to negotiate with a human, especially after realizing that Jinwoo commanded the Legion of Shadow Soldiers. Had he known earlier, he would never have attempted to engage Jinwoo in battle. Despite his pride, the clan leader's foremost concern was for his daughter's safety. Jinwoo, sensing his worry, reassured him that Asil would not be put in harm's way. After some hesitation, the clan leader reluctantly agreed, handing over the entry permit Jinwoo had sought. As Jinwoo examined the permit, he realized that it was just the first of many he would need to obtain from each demon clan in order to advance to the upper floors of the castle. Turning to Asil, he asked if they could leave immediately. Asil, amused by Jinwoo's directness, confirmed that they could. With their next steps in mind, they prepared to continue their journey. Before they set off, a sudden notification flashed in Jinwoo's vision. A demon noble had extended an invitation for him to join a party. Intrigued, Jinwoo read deeper into the system's explanation. The party system allowed members to access higher floors collectively through a divination circle, and experience points could be distributed based on contributions during battles. While the idea of sharing experience points was appealing, Jinwoo quickly recognized the potential for exploitation. He turned to Asil and firmly told her that if they encountered any fights, she should not participate. He would handle everything himself. Asil agreed without hesitation. Jinwoo then asked if she would be all right without her horse. Asil explained that only party members could move between floors, so her horse could not come along. Unfazed, she pulled out a small bag from her pack and revealed a bottle of liquor, the favorite drink of the chief of the Garsh clan. Asil explained that her father had prepared gifts for each of the demon clans they would encounter, knowing that such offerings would make negotiations smoother. Despite the fierce competition among the demon nobility, she reassured Jinwoo that the Garsh clan, at least, was reasonable. When they arrived at the Garsh clan's territory, Jinwoo asked Asil to wait, as he ventured ahead alone. His shadow soldiers followed closely as he strode forward, ready to face whatever challenges awaited him. Meanwhile, tension filled the air in the South Korean Hunter Association's headquarters. Go Gun-hee, the association's chairman, was locked in a tense conversation with Thomas Andre, one of the most powerful national-level hunters in the world. Thomas was seeking information about South Korea's elusive 10th S-rank hunter, Sung Jinwoo. Skeptical of Go Gun-hee's inability to provide his exact whereabouts, Thomas pressed for answers. Go Gun-hee explained that Sung Jinwoo was difficult to track, even for their surveillance teams, as he often moved unpredictably. Despite Go Gun-hee's explanation, Thomas remained doubtful, wondering how he could trust the information being given. Go Gun-hee, however, assured him that the South Korean Hunter Association would never deceive a national-level hunter like Thomas. The conversation between Go Gun-hee and Thomas Andre took an unexpected turn when Thomas brought up the recent actions of Hwang Dong-soo. He acknowledged that his subordinate had caused some trouble in Korea. Go Gun-hee, understanding the situation, admitted that the association had limited authority over S-rank hunters. What caught Go Gun-hee's attention was Thomas referring to Hwang Dong-soo as if he were an American hunter now, hinting at a shift in allegiance. Thomas then revealed that he wanted to request the South Korean Hunters Association to deny Hwang Dong-soo entry into the country, a decision they had already made. After a firm handshake, Thomas implied that their conversation was nearly finished, though he left the door open for future contact if necessary. Go Gun-hee couldn't help but feel the overwhelming presence of the national-level hunter, who stood like a giant in both stature and strength. As Thomas prepared to leave, he made a comment about the chaos in Korea, particularly after the events of the Jeju Island raid, hinting that his visit might have stirred false hope. He expressed regret that he wouldn't be able to assist with the raid due to his demanding schedule, but left open the possibility of hiring a hunter of his caliber if enough funds were offered. Before Thomas departed, Jim Chul, another member of the association, offered for a hunter from their surveillance team to accompany him, a gesture Thomas accepted. He also emphasized the importance of keeping their conversation confidential. Once Thomas had left, Go Gun-hee let out a sigh, reflecting on the imposing presence of a national-level hunter. Jim Chul reassured him that there was no need to worry, as Japan had agreed to work with them on the matter. Meanwhile, back in the Gash clan's territory, chaos erupted as flames and the sounds of battle engulfed the castle. Notifications flooded Jinwoo's vision, confirming the defeat of the demon knights and the death of a demon noble. The once mighty foes lay scattered, their bodies a testament to Jinwoo's victory. His level increased to 87, and he noticed he was gaining far more experience points since his enemies were of much higher levels than before. But it wasn't just Jinwoo who was evolving. His shadow soldiers were also growing stronger. Igris had reached the maximum level and was now classified as a knight, while Shadow Beast had also hit the maximum level and ranked as an elite soldier. Another notification appeared, informing Jinwoo that both Igris and Shadow Beast had reached the necessary levels for advancement, awaiting the monarch's permission. Jinwoo, without hesitation, approved the advancement. Immediately, a dramatic transformation began. Dark energy enveloped Igris and Shadow Beast, swirling around them in a storm of shadows. The intense power reshaped their forms, enhancing their strength and abilities. As the transformation subsided, two formidable beings emerged from the darkness. Igris had ascended to the rank of elite knight, now wielding power comparable to an S-rank hunter. Shadow Beast, newly named Tank, had evolved into a knight-rank shadow soldier with strength rivaling a top-tier A-rank hunter. This newfound power filled Jinwoo with awe. He hadn't merely defeated a demon noble, he had elevated his shadow army to heights that could challenge even the most powerful enemies. His army had become a force capable of facing the toughest adversaries in the world. Thanks for watching.